USA!
We have an action-packed hour for you 6 p.m. drivers.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome to the Skraby Show for April 28th, 2025. I'm Matt Skraby. Thank you for joining me. You can watch on YouTube if you would like. Just go search 97.3 The Fan on the YouTube. Skrabinators are in the Skraby Show chat. If you would like to go watch that, just go youtube.com/@theskrabyshow, and you can watch it there as well. I'm on Twitter at Matt Skraby, Twitch 97.3 The Fan, and Facebook 97.3 The Fan. So we have, I believe we have 3 Skraby shows. Actually, we only have 2 Skraby shows this week because I have one tonight. Obviously, tomorrow night is a night game, which I'm really, really looking forward to tomorrow night's game. Logan Webb versus Nick Pivetta. That should be awesome. And the Padres absolutely have to beat the Giants in these next 2 games. I'm not. We'll get into it. But, and then I go and I do this and I forget exactly where I was going with it. But Logan Webb, Nick Pivetta, it's going to be exciting. And the Padres, we're going to talk about it all night. We're going to talk about what is going on with them. And I think that there's only one real reason, and I don't know that anyone is going to be happy with me for that reason, but in my mind, it explains everything, and I think people know where I'm going with this, but it's been a tough watch over the last 6, 7, 8 games, but there's good reason for that. We'll get into that as well, and then later in the show, probably towards the end of the show, the A's are again doing bad things to their fans. And I have to keep bringing this stuff up because it's ridiculous. I just don't understand why Major League Baseball is turning their heads to everything, basically. So we'll talk about that as well. I just got done. I'm going to start with a little TV watching that I've been doing. I love the White Lotus series, and I just got done watching season 3. So funny, maybe not funny, but interesting thing about me is I don't like to watch shows anymore that are still on, like week-to-week shows, because I don't really I'm not someone who is able to wait till the next week anymore, which is so spoiled because I remember growing up, obviously, thinking, hey, this is it. This is the deal. I have to wait a week. I'm on a cliffhanger for a week. But now that I have the opportunity to just wait until the end of the show, then you wait until you get to the end of the show, and then I can just watch it all through, which is fine. But the White Lotus, to me, has my sort of humor in it just a little bit. Each season is different, and I really love it. I do. It's funny to me. This last season was interesting, but I enjoyed the season as well. But basically, if you don't know what White Lotus is, it's like the White Lotus is a fake resort. It's some crazy place in the world. I think they went to Maui, Sicily, and then this last one was in Thailand. But they go there, and it's just the different stories of people who are vacationing there, really, really rich people who are vacationing there. So it's really funny to see how the families interact with all the other people and how it all comes together. But I do like I do really like that show, The White Lotus. The other one I just saw in the chat from M. McKee was she was disappointed with the recent season of Black Mirror. I actually really liked the recent season of Black Mirror. I did. Black Mirror is a show on Netflix, and it's kind of like a Twilight Zone kind of show. It's not exactly like the Twilight Zone, but it's kind of like that sort of thing where you're faced with weird things that happen in life, and that's what you're watching, and someone trying to get through it. But the episodes of the Black Mirror are all like tech episodes, and I find the ways that they do certain things really, really interesting. Like in social media world, it's when you mute someone, You just don't see the responses anymore. But in Black Mirror world, when you mute someone, they just show up walking around as like a staticky figure. So you can't actually like talk to the person or see the person, and they can't see you or talk to you. So if you're walking around and you have someone muted, they could just be like a shadowy person from over there. And it's cool how I like how they interpret things. And there's also some fun episodes as well. But yeah, so there you go. The White Lotus and also Black Mirror. Good stuff. All right. Have I stalled enough yet before I really need to talk about the Padres? Because obviously things have not been great recently. I know people are kind of getting a little frustrated, but it's still early in the year. And if you don't like me saying that, I'm sorry, but it's true. It's still early in the year. And I'm going to, chalk it up to the injury problem that the Padres have. And I know that no one wants to make excuses for them, but it's a reality of everything. And hopefully we're hearing that Luis Ariz is supposed to be back tomorrow. We're hearing that Jackson Merrill is supposed to be back at the end of the week. And I don't know why I feel that, or I think this way. This is how my brain works. But as soon as I thought about or read that Jackson Merrill is supposed to be back on Friday and Luis Ariz is supposed to be back tomorrow, this scene from Mrs. Doubtfire came to mind.
Help is on the way, dear! Help is on the way!
We have to listen to Mrs. Doubtfire. Help is on the way. Those guys, you cannot replace a Jackson Merrill in your lineup. You cannot replace a Luis Ariz in your lineup. You can't replace a Jake Cronenworth in your lineup. And I don't, every team faces injuries throughout the year. That's just a fact for every team. Some teams face injuries way more than other teams, and it just so happens that the Padres are facing a lot of injuries here in the beginning of the year. They started awesome. And it's a good thing that they did start the way they did, because they stacked a bunch of wins, and now they're trying to weather the storm. And I think that's a really good way to put it, because that's what the Padres put it yesterday when they were talking after the game. There's a lot of injuries, so we have to weather the storm. And that's exactly what they need to do right now. Just hang in there until your reinforcements get back. And the Padres aren't playing well either, but I have a little bit of, my thoughts are on that. They're just all trying to do too much. And we talked about during Gwen and Chris, what is it actually when a guy is pressing is you're trying to make something happen and you're trying to force that to happen. And it just ends up for the most part, always failing, in my opinion, the pressing, because you just got to be you. You just got to play your game, and you just got to let it come to you. Like, you got to the major leagues for a reason. But when you got Manny, who is in a mini slump right now, you can't have, the superstars. What remains true about this team, no matter who's in the lineup, the superstars have to superstar. And there's only one superstar that is superstarring right now, and that's Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, he's been basically immune to what's going on with the rest of the offense. But when you think about Manny Machado, he's not superstarring right now, and that's a problem. They've lost a bunch of games. Xander Bogaerts is, I guess when he first came to town, we call him a superstar. I think that he is someone who absolutely has to contribute. Obviously, it's not been great for Xander Bogaerts. And if there's any criticism to be had here, the players, I'm not putting a lot of criticism and blame on right now. But I do think Xander Bogaerts and his struggles are really hurting the team right now. And I think that he knows that too. And I was thinking a lot about this. I was thinking a lot about how Xander Bogaerts is viewed amongst fans. And I get it. The Padres are paying a guy a lot of money to not produce up to that level. Now, I even think if he does half of what or a little bit more, half more, that's not even a word, but you get what I'm saying. If he does a little bit more, then we would be okay with that. But here's the reason I think Xander Bogaerts it is a little bit different than some of the other superstars, quote unquote, that have struggled before him. And that's because Xander Bogaerts is a guy who cares. And we all know this. We can all see it. He might not be playing well, but he does care. And I know that that doesn't make up for wins and losses, but I'd much rather have a guy who is supposed to be a huge piece of this team and is struggling. I'd much rather have that guy care that he's struggling and try to work his way out of it than just kind of accepting the fact that they're struggling and whatever. There's been players in town before, and I'm not going to name any names, but I think we all know that there's been players in town before that have struggled but didn't really seem like they were all too worried about it. I do believe that Xander Bogaerts cares, and I do believe that Xander Bogaerts will be better than what he is now. There's only one way and for him to go, in my opinion, and that's up. The lineup changes significantly through when people are out of the lineup, when guys are injured, when other batters are ahead of Xander Bogaerts. And it's easy for me to sit here and say that's the problem, but I think we've already seen this year what this team is at full strength. And although it was a short-lived thing, this team was really good. This team was really, really good at full strength. And I know that the Padres are never, ever, ever going to make excuses. And Mike Shildt said yesterday, we don't make excuses on this team. We support the guys that are hurt, and we find a way to win baseball games. If you look back at the beginning of last year, look at our record relative to the rest of the league, including this year. I think you'd be pretty pleased. We've been able to do that regardless of circumstance, and we'll continue to do that. That's why I am going to continue to believe in this team, because of the track record of last year. And Mike Shildt has taken it upon himself to say that he's the one who needs to be better, and that his players aren't playing bad. He's the one who needs to manage better. And I do really enjoy when a manager or when a head coach takes the blame and puts it on themselves, because we all know that Mike Shildt is going to be he's going to be ultra he's going to defend his players every single time. It's not going to change with him. And I like that about him. And I think his players like that about him as well. But ultimately, he's the manager. He's the guy who's supposed to make this all run. He's supposed to tell everybody where to go. Do the guys have to make decisions and do things on the field? Yes, they do. But that's what they're being paid for. Mike Shildt is being paid to keep this team together and moving forward in the right direction. And he knows that. Everybody else knows that. And I like to hear that he is taking this on his back, and he's taking the stress and the pressure of how they're playing right now. And he's saying, don't point fingers at them, point fingers at me. And that, to me, is the sign of a true leader. Someone who, even though he could probably say, hey, it's not really me, and point out situations, he's always going to take the blame. And I think that's why this team is going to get back on it when their players get back, because they know that they have a guy like Mike Shildt who's going to fight for them at every step of the way, and he's going to make sure that they are shielded from criticism. That's a true leader to me. On the chat, Shildt was frustrating. Everyone was saying everything is fine, and there was no concern. I get it, but to him, I don't know how he can think any other way. He's the guy who's actually living this on a day-to-day basis. And I remember specifically, last year when the Padres lost to the Marlins. I believe they lost 9-1. It was a getaway day for the Marlins. And I think AJ Cassavell said this season's kind of been a little bit of a roller coaster. And that was the point where, Mike Shildt took exception to it because he didn't feel like it was. But that's how he has to view it. When I put myself in Mike Shilt's head, I have to be the calming force of the clubhouse. I have to be a guy who looks, presents himself, feels, speaks, acts, all of that like a guy who believes that my team can turn it around. And I do believe that Mike Shildt can do that. And if Shildt, it can seem sometimes like Mike Schilt is maybe ignoring the elephant in the room, but sometimes you have to ignore the elephant in the room. And last year, they started off on this roller coaster. I'll call it a roller coaster because it felt like a roller coaster. But then they got things going in the second half and they got everything moving in the right direction. And they entered this year moving in the right direction. And then, unfortunately, Jake Cronenworth took a pitch to the ribs in Chicago early in the year. Everything's fine with the Cubs, but Jake Cronenworth's going to be out for like over a month now. And then you got Jackson Merrill tweaking his hamstring, Brandon Lockridge tweaking his hamstring, Luis Arraez running into Mauricio Dubon. It's just it's just tough. It's tough to win a Major League Baseball game or a series in Major League Baseball without the guys that you actually planned and scheduled to be on the field. Tyler Wade is doing a great job of filling in right now. He's looking like a guy who never wants to go to AAA ever again, never wants to put himself in a position where the Padres could let him go. He is, he's playing good center field. He's getting on base. I think what Tyler Wade has done has been awesome. Jose Iglesias, he's been awesome as well. I mean, it's a good thing that the Padres were able to bring him in on a minor league deal because where would they be without him right now? But those guys, Tyler Wade is not going to do what Jackson Merrill can do. He's not going to hit. Jackson Merrill hit 3 home runs in the 10 games he played this season, and he's hitting over 350. Tyler Wade is not going to get you that, but he can do what he can do, and that is fill in and be a guy who can step up and be there when this team absolutely needs someone. So, again, Luis Arraez, supposed to come back tomorrow. Jackson Merrill, supposed to come back at the end of the week. Maybe Friday, maybe it's something else. So, again, Mrs. Doubtfire with the advice.
Help is on the way, dear! Help is on the way!
Help is on the way. Hopefully, because then this whole first segment means nothing if help is not on the way. But I think everybody feels the same way. I do. I think people feel like without their starters, this team is just going to have to stay afloat for as long as possible. So when we get back, I want to talk about the Padres record since Jackson Merrill's been hurt, since Jake Cronenworth has been out. And I also want to get into a little bit about how Fernando is an elite right fielder. So all of that is next on the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan.
Partly cloudy.
Back here, Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. Matt Skraby. If you want to watch on YouTube, you can just search 97.3 The Fan. If you want to watch on the Skraby Show YouTube, you can just youtube.com/@the Skraby Show. Also on Twitter, @Matt Skraby, and on Facebook, 97.3 The Fan, plus Twitch, 97.3 The Fan as well. We have a couple stories I want to talk about in the final part of the show. Again, the A's are and what they're doing to their fans up there. I'm just going to continue to talk about that. Also, Roki Sasaki, haven't talked about him in a while, but Roki Sasaki, I don't really know how true this is, but it is coming from a somewhat reputable source. But Roki Sasaki, I guess, told the Dodgers, like in passing, something that he wanted, and they ended up giving it to him, and he said that was a part of his decision to choose the Dodgers. So we'll talk about that on the other side as well. But when we left off, we were talking about the Padres. We were talking about how they're doing without the injuries, and there was a couple comments on the chat I wanted to get to, and it was it's already gone now. It's all the way back up. Well, what I will say for that is, it says, yesterday Schultz said, quote, "I don't know what's going on, but we have to figure it out." That was giving me Melvin vibes. And that's from the captain. That's all I could say for your name. But I don't know what else Mike Schilt is going to say, because he knows the problem. And the problem is he doesn't have his regular everyday starters. But he can't say that. He's never going to say that. He's never going to make excuses. He doesn't want to be that guy. And so he's not going to say it. That's why he's saying, I don't know what's going on, but we have to figure it out. I know what's going on. You can't win consistently in Major League Baseball when you have three guys who are AAA guys who aren't ready for the big leagues yet in a way of carrying a team. Tirso, there's Oscar Gonzalez. I like Oscar Gonzalez, but he hasn't necessarily hit the cover off of the ball. I've already talked about Tyler Wade. I've already talked about Jose Iglesias. I mean, Yuli Gurriel, I don't know. I don't know why they're holding on right now, because it doesn't seem to me like there's any sort of, I hate to say no value, but we're not really getting much from Yuli Gurriel, and he's taking up a bench spot. So that's why Mike Schultz says stuff like, I don't know, we got to figure it out, because he can't say the real reason, which is all of the injuries. But if you look at the record while the guys have been out, so to me, there's kind of like a bend, break situation happening here. And the record tells me that, because the first bend in the bridge, I guess you could say, the Padres were 9-9 after yesterday without center fielder Jackson Merrill. So that tells me they won 9 games without Jackson Merrill. And that tells me that they were able to weather the storm a little bit. And when the second bend in the bridge, they went 8-8 without second baseman Jake Cronenworth. So that's kind of involved and intertwined with Jackson Merrill, because they both went to the IL around the similar time. But they went 8-8. So they were still winning games without Jackson Merrill and Jake Cronenworth. Now here's where it broke, because after losing 2 centerpieces, the bridge collapsed when Luis Ariz was removed from the lineup. They went 1-5 without him. And I'm not saying that Luis Ariz is the sole person that is going to make this team win, but I'm saying you can make it without 2 everyday players, and you could win. You could play 500 baseball without 2 everyday players, but without 3 everyday players is game over for a lot of major league teams. I don't care what team is out there. You remove 3 everyday starters from their lineup, they're going to struggle in the same way. Let's see. Luis wants to say something. Oh, so when the Padres are injured, it's an excuse. But last year when the Dodgers were left with Buehler, Yamamoto, and Flaherty, it was an excuse? I don't understand. Buehler, Yamamoto, and Flaherty are all great pitchers. I'm talking about position players who have to bat. When they lost Mookie, Max Muncy, and Freddie because of his son's illness, no excuse. I'm not even trying to compare to the Dodgers, but I'm telling you right now, if they were to lose 3 everyday players in their lineup, they would not be. I mean, already they're tied with the Padres in record, I believe. When I looked this morning, I believe they were tied with the Padres at 16-10. Just let me make sure before I go any further. I'm not really thinking that Flaherty, Buehler, and Yamamoto are all very, very good pitchers. So I'm not sure what the comparison was there. I don't even know if that was a Dodgers fan or not, but I invite everyone in to the Skraby Show chat and to chat with us. Oh, the Dodgers are 18-10. The Padres are 17-11. So it changed yesterday. Still, Padres are just a game behind the Dodgers. And it's because they stacked those wins at the beginning of the year. When they get their players back, they're going to be fine. I think there's a major, to me, and I'll use the word excuse, is that they have 3 of their best players out. That's what is going through my head. Now, I was asked about this morning, and I didn't quite know how to talk about it, but I did figure out a way to talk about it. And they asked me, like, why, when someone says, well, they slid down in the lineups and so they're struggling because they slid down the lineup, does lineup order make a difference? And here is the proof, because once the Luis Arraez went out of the lineup, they put Gavin Sheets in the 2-hole, and he is not as good as he was earlier in the year. His chase rate in 6 games since Arraez went on the IL is 47%, which is the 6th highest in baseball. And he's 1 for 19 with 9 strikeouts in that span. His chase rate was 29% before that, and he was batting .333 with an .890 OPS while hitting further down in the order. So I looked, where does he hit the best in the order? So far this year, he has had the most games. He's played the most games in the 7th batting position. That's a weird way of saying it, but I did. He's hitting .391 with an OPS of .918, and he's got 5 RBIs in 23 at-bats. So you see him slide a little bit down in the order, and he sees different pitches to hit. He maybe gets pitches that are a little bit more in the zone. But when he's hitting second, and you got Manny Machado behind him, you're in trouble. You're in trouble, and he's not adjusting well to it. Now, can he be a little bit better? Yeah, he's gonna have to be a little bit better. But when you get him back at his spot down in the order, 7th, 6th, 7th, then I think he'll be fine. But it does make a lot of sense as to why things are struggling, why guys are struggling right now. Just because it changes the entire order. It changes everything about how a team attacks the Padres lineup. They really, if we're really thinking about it right now, Padres lineup has maybe 2 guys that you are most worried about, and that's Fernando and Manny. Right now, I'm saying with this lineup that they have 2 guys that they're worried about. And so you could pitch everyone else how you want to pitch them, and it will make it worse for everyone else just as long as those 2 guys don't get on base. Just as long as those 2 guys, Fernando and Manny, don't hurt you. So the rest of the guys, you can take down easy. And that's what's been happening. The offense has come to a standstill because of how the lineup has changed so much. And AZ Jimmy says, surely would help if Manny was stepping up. I said it in the beginning. He's got a superstar. Superstar's got a superstar. But I was talking to my friend at the game about this Manny topic yesterday. And we were trying to figure out, like, why does Manny go in these slumps at the worst times? It seems like, I don't have statistical proof to back that up, but it seems like he goes in slumps at the worst time. But then in the second half, he's going to be incredible. He's going to end up with his 28 to 30 home runs. He's going to end up with his 275 batting average. He's going to end up with his 90 to 100 RBIs. And he's going to end up with his OPS in the 800s range. That's what he does. So I don't know why he struggles and goes in these mini slumps early in the year. A lot of players do, but it seems like it's the worst time possible for when he does go in these mini slumps. But then when he's good, he's really, really good. And the same goes for Manny with changing the order. Like I just said, there's 2 guys to get out in that order, and focus on most, and that's Fernando and Manny. So it's just we have to be patient. We have to be patient. I'm not going to panic yet. I don't think this team is in panic mode yet. It's way too early, number one. And number two, like, say some of these guys are out for the season. Okay, maybe we start panicking. But they're going to be back here soon. Again, I'm going to keep playing it because I pulled it earlier, and I love this movie.
Help is on the way, dear! Help is on the way!
Help is on the way in the form of Jackson Merrill, Jake Cronenworth, and Luis Ariz. All right, got through all of that. Oh, I didn't talk about Fernando being an awesome right fielder. We'll talk about that when we get back. Also, that Roki Sasaki thing, the A's, my daily gripe, all of the above when we get back on 97.3 The Fan.
The biggest
Final segment of the Skraby Show for today. Next Skraby Show on Thursday. Padres off day. We have a round table that day as well. So I am done from 6 to 7 until Thursday. But we have a couple things we need to talk about here before we head to the end of the show. Fernando is an elite right fielder. So yesterday, all right, I've been to a ton of Padres games over the years, obviously. But in the last 2 years, I've been to 3 years. I've been to 2 Sunday Padres-Rays games. And I've been to both of those games. And the reason I'm bringing it up this way is because each game I've seen Fernando gun someone down at home plate and make a huge play for the Padres. Yesterday, no different. I was watching. It's just so much fun to watch Fernando play sometimes because he does things that people can't do. But yesterday, the outfield assist that he had was his 18th outfield assist as a right fielder. And his 18 outfield assists since he became a full-time right fielder, that is tied for 8th in the major league since the start of 2023. Among the 11 players with at least 18 assists in that span, Tatis has played the 4th fewest innings, meaning he is throwing out guys at a higher rate. And I know why, because he's got a really, really good arm. And he's able to just gun someone down from the outfield. I think that's a really fun play, is when someone's able to throw someone out from the outfield. But Tatis had a throw on Saturday, either Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember which one. But one of the throws, it was his 4th outfield throw clocked at 100 miles an hour or more. Sorry, I can't read. And it was his hardest throw of his career. And then Kevin Acee asked him and Fernando said, maybe I'm getting stronger, which that's a scary thing for a lot of teams out there. But Fernando has been awesome this year, and he continues to be awesome. And I'm pretty sure he's going to continue to be awesome throughout the entire season. He's 26 years old. This is a big year for Fernando, and he's already taking advantage of it so far. And that's good stuff. That's good stuff for Fernando. But watching him play the outfield is pretty fun, I gotta say, especially when he's throwing guys out from the outfield. And then he does his finger guns. 96 miles an hour to home from right yesterday. That's pretty good. Pretty good. All right, let's get into some of the other stories that we haven't really talked about. Now, I want to talk briefly about Jeff Ulbricht's son. Jeff Ulbricht, the defensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons, his son and friends prank called Shedeur Sanders because his son went on his dad's iPad and got a couple numbers. First, I mean, this is kid stuff, obviously. Kids do this, but they video themselves doing it, which is strange because that gets you in trouble. And the kid put himself in the video. But I think this is just downright evil. I don't know why people think this is fun to do. I don't know why people like to troll people. I'm not necessarily a troll. I don't like to pile on people because, when I was a drinker, I was very depressed. And when people piled on me, it really, really didn't do many good things for my brain. But it's just pure evil to do something like that. And I cannot believe that this kid put himself in the video. If you got I don't like calling people stupid. I don't like calling people idiots. But in this case, Jax Ulbrich is stupid and an idiot. Now he can, make this up he can do better throughout the rest of his life and he'll be fine. I think one day this will be all forgotten. But still, how dumb do you have to be? I don't get it. It makes no sense to me that you think this is fun. I guess other players got called too. So this wasn't just Shedeur Sanders, but it's just plain evil when Shedeur's waiting on a phone call from the NFL and you prank call him. Katie says he knew better and he wasn't sorry. He was sorry he got caught. I kind of agree with this because I saw the apology from Jax Ulbrich, and it was it reads like it reads like a lawyer wrote it for him or a PR person wrote it for him, because it doesn't read like a kid who actually really cares at all about what happened. I didn't mean to get into this level, but I want to get his apology because it reads so stiff and lawyery. But here's what he said on Instagram. On Friday night, I made a tremendous mistake. Shador, what I did was completely inexcusable, embarrassing, and shameful. I'm so sorry I took away from your moment. It was selfish and childish. I could never imagine getting ready to celebrate one of the greatest moments of your life, and I made a terrible mistake and messed with that moment. Thank you for accepting my call earlier today. I hope you could find it in your heart to forgive me. And then he tagged Shador. This is an unpopular opinion, I am sure. But to me, this is all just clout chasing for this kid. Because now he says, thank you for accepting my call earlier today. If I had to call someone and apologize for something I did, I wouldn't go on social media after and say sorry again and then say, oh, yeah, by the way, I did talk to you. So thank you for accepting my phone call. And then you tag Shador Sanders. If I'm Shador Sanders, I'm going to take the kid's phone call. I'm going to let him say sorry. And then I'm going to rid myself of this person because they're no good for me. Oh, he's 21 years old. Man, that is not that's not a kid. That's an adult. And the way this apology reads to me is someone, as Katie said, someone who is sad that they got caught and not sad that they did this. I could never imagine getting ready to celebrate one of the greatest moments of your life, and I made a terrible mistake and messed with that moment. I don't know. This whole thing is really fishy to me. But karma works in mysterious ways. And so I hope that kid never is waiting for the NFL draft or something, and someone calls him and tell him he's going to be selected, and then he's not. It's just kind of ridiculous. All right, here's the Sasaki story that I came across over the weekend. Haven't talked about Roki Sasaki in a little bit, but Roki Sasaki, he's steadied himself a little bit. He's 0-1 on the year, 3.55 ERA. He's got 20 strikeouts, 1.42 whip. So he's been getting better as the season goes along. So this is not a Roki Sasaki is bad argument. This is something that has nothing to do with baseball on the field. But here is what has been said, and this was reported in the OC Register. But I guess a topic came up when Sasaki and team officials from the Dodgers met, which included team president and CEO Stan Kasten. Now, Kasten told the OC Register this, quote, during our first meeting with Roki, we were telling him about the project we had ongoing to upgrade our clubhouse and facilities. I was telling him about all the amenities we were adding. We're going to have this and this and this. And then Roki asked, are you going to have Japanese-style toilets? And Japanese-style toilets often include a bidet and a remote control and all this other stuff. Sasaki, I guess, admitted later that this was kind of a joke, but the pitcher, I guess, really liked that the team was willing to listen to his input and that it was, quote, definitely a factor in him joining the LA team. I guess Kasten said during the meeting, done, you got it. It was a good idea that we got from a player. So they put in these Japanese style toilets, and apparently it made him so happy that he chose the Dodgers. Now, here's my criticism of this. This dude sounds like, and this may be unfair, and it probably is unfair, but this dude seems like he comes off as a guy. When we were all learning about Roki Sasaki, it was, he's a quiet guy, he's shy, likes to keep to himself. And then he goes into all these meetings with teams and asks them, hey, can you fix my fastball? And maybe I'll choose your team. We've already talked about that in the past. And then now we're hearing that he asked for Japanese-style toilets in the Dodgers clubhouse. Now, I have no issues with Japanese-style toilets in the Dodgers clubhouse, but I have no issues at all with that. But to say that, I liked it that they were willing to install Japanese-style toilets into the bathroom after I suggested it. Oh, yes, I want to play for that team. I don't know. There's something not right about who Roki Sasaki was portrayed to us, or there's something not right about how he was portrayed to us before he came over to Major League Baseball and what we're actually learning now. I know it's just a toilet, but it kind of makes me think that he's high maintenance and a diva. And maybe, again, that is unfair. But Stan Kasten was very, very excited to put in these Japanese-style toilets. And then he said, hey, you know what? We listen to our players. Our players definitely know what's up, and we're happy to be, player-friendly, I guess. All right, real quick, A's. The A's fans are not happy with what's going on at Sutter Health Park because on opening day, the beer was supposed to be all-inclusive for season ticket holders. Now, just a couple weeks into the season, a month into the season, it's changed. It only covers select brands. Premium beers like Michelob Ultra, Modelo, and Space Dust are now priced $20 for a 12-ounce cup. $20 for a 12-ounce cup. And now, season ticket holders are getting kind of angry because they paid $200 a seat for some of these season ticket seats. And now the secondary market is way below that. So there was a season ticket holder reference in this article saying that they paid $200 a seat. They're barely getting $60 for these seats. They're barely getting $60 after they paid $200. So they're losing money. And I don't really, honestly, I'm not a big fan of people who try to, make a career or make a living off of free selling tickets because I don't think it's that easy, number one. And number two, I don't know that you can make a living on it. But when you buy seats to the A's games at Sutter Health Park, you kind of have to know a little bit that things may change because it is John Fisher and it is the A's. But there you go. $20 beers. $20 beers. The user said, yeah, it's brutal to say the least. I'm hyped on this team and going to every game I possibly can, but I paid and locked myself into $70 a ticket for 81 games times 2. Could have saved about $7,000, and it's rough, to say the least. So that is what's going on in A's land. And they continue just to smile and put a happy face on, and everybody's cool, and it's all good, all of that. All right, real quick, I want to say I have made some Skrabinator stuff. And Gonzo on the chat asked for a Skrabinator polo. And guess what? I made a Skrabinator polo. So here is the Skrabinator polo. If you want to go see it, you can go to the YouTube. Also, Katrina gave me this idea. The secretary of the chat gave me this idea of making a Skrabinator shirt. So I hate these cameras sometimes. Skraby Show on the front, and then on the back, Skrabinator with 25 on it. Came out okay. So that's also on the Skrabinator store. And then my sweatshirt is new as well, and it's on the Skrabinator store. I'm not someone who likes to push merch all the time, but I am someone who needs to make a living. And so now I'm going to try to get into merch a little bit. And if you're a Skrabinator, then you can go to the store, go to my Twitter. The link is there. Go to my Instagram. The link is there. And you can buy some Skrabinator stuff. And know that it goes to a good place because it probably is going to go feed my dog Lucky. So when you spend money on Skrabinators, you end up feeding Lucky as well. So there we go. Did I forget anything? I don't think I did, which is kind of crazy, but we're a little bit late.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
Gotta do a little homework. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. Dominic says Skrabinator Chonies. No, not yet. I do have a Skrabinator dog bandana thing, which is kind of cute. I need to get Lucky into. Anyway, here is my Daily Gripe. I'm really late for time, so here we go. When people... Okay, I was checking out the other day at a self-checkout at Pavilions. When people stand way too close to you when you're checking out of somewhere. I was trying to type in my PIN number, and this guy was like, I don't know, 6 inches behind me. 6 inches behind me. And I'm trying to type in my PIN, and I can see that this guy is kind of looking over my shoulder. And so I kind of block him a little bit. But the overarching Daily Gripe is that people are just not aware of spaces. please do not stand next to me as I am trying to check out. Please, I'm begging you. Do not try to look over my shoulder. I will block my PIN number every single time. I will also give you a little bit of a you're too close kind of look. Like looking over your shoulder, like, what are you doing there? Why are you so close? Jeez, that is too close. And they just don't get it. They just don't get it. I don't understand. Why you gotta stand so close? Self-checkout. Everybody goes to a different machine. You don't need to stand behind me. Ugh. Maybe that guy was trying to steal my PIN number. Doesn't matter. I don't have much money in there anyway, so go ahead. Don't steal my PIN number. I don't know why I said that. All right, that's it for the Skraby Show. I am going to be back with the guys tomorrow. Ben and Wood start at 6 a.m. We are going to have a fantabulous sports game show tomorrow. Have a good night.
San Diego isn't just a baseball